Hey guys, Nemo here. Quick forward before we start this video. I just want to say that if you are a fan of Infinity Train, it's so important that you go watch and support the show. Now more than ever, the Infinity Train community needs to show that it's passionate, and we will continue to not only want, but support future seasons, even as an HBO Max original. I know it's not easy for everybody if some people don't have HBO Max, but if you truly love Infinity Train and you want to support it, now is the time. So much hard work and dedication was put into the season by so many talented, passionate people. Also, this review is full of spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, then you're dumb. At the end of the day, we're all on this train together. Let's see how far I can go. Alright, let's get to the video. Alright, I'm not gonna bother with some intro. Let's just get straight to the point here. Infinity Train is officially in a league of its own. I can now confidently say it's unlike anything I've ever seen before, and it's clear the original groundwork they laid out in the show's first season is now being fully realized. Simply put, Season 3 is Infinity Train firing on all cylinders. I'm only 5 episodes in, but I can confidently say that not only is it the best season of the show so far, but also the darkest. Coincidence? I think not. Watching these first 5 episodes, it felt like Infinity Train is finally what it was always pushing to be. We know this world, we've seen its rules. The train has been established. But now it's time to shake up the narrative, to subvert the expectations we've built up after watching 2 seasons. And subvert, they did. Oh my god. I'm a cynical guy, and after season 1, I really wondered how they would do another season. I mean, Tulip got her exit, she made it out of the train. We even solved 1-1's mystery and the past of the conductor. I mean, what, were we just gonna see like a 16-year-old Tulip cut someone off in traffic and then boom, she's back on the train with Atticus in 1-1? Nah, that would have been dumb. But then season 2 came and blew me away. And that's when I realized how powerful the anthology format they were going with would be. Season 2 made it abundantly clear that the show isn't about the train itself, it's merely just the backdrop for these real human stories and problems. But at the same time, the train is undeniably the most interesting part of the show and its biggest mystery. And they do such a great job of only revealing bits and pieces at a time. We know so much about the train at this point, yet it still feels like we don't really know anything. Why is it there? Where did it come from? What is this weird desert void it exists in? Is it Arizona? It looks like Arizona kind of. But Infinity Train doesn't give out answers so easily. It keeps them in its back pocket, dropping bombshell information super casually, in a way that only helps make the world of the train and its crazy rules feel surprisingly real and grounded. I mean, they literally revealed it's not magic, but instead basically all rooted in math. That's somehow way cooler. Seriously, finding out that this was like a sci-fi thriller instead of some magic show made the whole thing feel a lot cooler and scarier. And although we're far past the point of the biggest problem being, where am I? Why am I here? What's this number on my hand? That's all for the better. Now the problems on the train are bigger, darker, and much more complicated. And this season gives us the most interesting of these problems yet. What if it wasn't the passenger against the train, but the train itself against the passenger? That's right, guys. Somehow this season you genuinely feel bad for the train. Don't believe me? Well, episode 1 does not waste time showing you just how brutal the passengers can get. We've seen 2 stories of kids trying to get off the train, but now it's time to see what happens to the kids who refuse to leave. I'm gonna be honest, it's brilliant, and such an interesting route to take the show in. One thing's for certain though, no season of Infinity Train is like the last, and that all starts with the characters. Episode 1 opens with Simon and Grace, who are the focus of this season. Now look, we've met these 2 before, though under a very different context. They first appeared to the final episode of Book 1, but we properly first met them in the Lucky Cat Car and the Mall Car last season. They were far from heroes. The 2 leaders of the vigilante organization, the Apex, they believe that 1-1 is not the true conductor, but instead an evil robot that took over the train. And honestly, I can't blame them. They came onto the train when Amelia was in power, so everything they do is in her image. From the wavy red line they paint on themselves with lipstick, to the mantra that the higher the number, the better, they're basically cosplaying Amelia. It's kinda weird. It's not clear if they ever met Amelia when she was in power, although I'm sure we'll find out at some point this season how it all started. Still, their story is tragic because you can totally see it happening. The Apex at its core is a community, as Grace and Simon take in the kids lost on the train and give them a home. In fact, with the opening scene, it almost looks wholesome. We see the day-to-day operations of the mall car, including Grace and Simon's morning routine. I almost want to join in. But then we see the dark reality of who the Apex really are, as they completely demolish a whimsical musical about empathy, the topic definitely being salt on the wound. It's important to hone in on the imagery of this opening scene, how Grace and Simon run parallel to the lyrics of 2 halves completing one another, only for the way of the Apex to destroy the musical car, leaving one half of the mask left, still singing, but with no one to compliment them. Considering the gold mask was destroyed and is identical to Grace's gold mask, we can easily connect this back to the main 2, how if Simon doesn't change, he'll be left alone without Grace. Something we already see grow into fruition by the end of this batch of episodes, but we'll get to that in a second. Right off the bat, you see what they're capable of, and you realize this is not the kids next door. These people are high-key monsters. But again, it's a complicated scenario. See, they firmly believe the train to be a toy for their own amusement, the denizens being nothing more than NPC props, or nulls as they call them. If you follow their logic, this is the equivalent of going on a murder spree in GTA. Although it's clear how flawed their mindset is when they stand over the decapitated lamp from the musical, and the fear in his voice is all too real, pleading that he's not a toy. No matter how you shake it, Infinity Train is a journey show. It kinda has to be. So the season really starts when Grace and Simon get separated from the rest of the Apex, which they claim is because 1-1 found them, although I'm not sure if I entirely believe that. Suddenly, Grace and Simon find themselves on a mission to get back to their fellow Apex members, and that means facing the dangers of the train head on. Luckily, they're seasoned passengers, right? It's not like they're about to face completely unforeseen circumstances that shake the very fabric of their lifestyle and relationship in a way they've never imagined, right? Oh, look in the horizon! It's episode 2. Episode 2 is really what sets up season 3 for the ride it's gonna be. That's because we're introduced to 2 new companions, Hazel and Tuba. It's a classic Infinity Train setup, a younger passenger and their animal companion. But that's where things get complicated. And we're introduced to one of the weirdest Infinity Train mysteries yet. Hazel's number doesn't glow. This raises so many questions. Is she even a passenger at all? Is she a denizen of a passenger? Is that even possible? This is where the show reminds you that it is, above all else, a thriller mystery. Right off the bat, it's clear Tuba and Simon do not get along. Simon really hates nulls, which is revealed later, but it's Grace's immediate connection to Hazel that ties the 2 groups together despite them butting heads. Episode 3 really shows off their new group dynamic, as they find themselves in a car resembling a fancy ball. They're not about to play by the train's games, but then they get trapped in a room and are forced to learn how to dance after Simon realizes there's literally no way to hack the system or escape the train. The biggest takeaway from this episode is that these characters are changing, something Grace and Simon seem to have avoided for a long time. They're having to do things they never have before, like playing by the rules of the train, and it's clear that things are changing for the 2 Apex leaders. Episode 4 is another huge bombshell episode. In this episode, we see the return of a lot of old favorites. I'm talking the cat, I'm talking Randall. It's good to see familiar faces. The episode begins in a snow car when Grace discovers that her number is actually going down. She's learning lessons, and it all started happening when Hazel came into her life. Real quick, there's some more important imagery here. The snowball fight, Grace, Hazel, and Tuba remaining in a one-sided fight, whereas Simon is isolated on the other side, showing once again that while Grace is starting to grow and deviate from the Apex mentality, Simon's refusing to change will end up leaving him abandoned once more. What do I mean by once more? That's where the cat comes in, because we learn she has a history with Simon. In fact, it turns out that the cat was his original animal companion, but eventually she abandoned him for dead against Gomes, which is the whole root for his hatred for nulls. In fact, the show does a great job of illustrating his trauma as we see Simon freaking out and falling to his knees at the sight of a lifeless Gome replica. Clearly, he has a pretty bad past with denizens, so his hatred is kind of justified, but you'll see. Simon informs Grace that the cat has been collecting again, so that Gome, not fake. It's real, baby. Probably the train's equivalent of taxidermy. Did the cat capture that Gome herself? Also, the cat's connection to Simon is probably why she has such a negative and intense reaction to Grace at the end of the Lucky Cat car. It runs deeper than Grace leading the Apex and wrecking cars. It's because Grace has a duel with the friend the cat knows she hurt. She probably blames Grace for Simon going down the wrong path. Also, calling out the cat for being a hoarder is a nice callback. Another interesting line is that the cat said that she hasn't vacationed in centuries, meaning this train is old. The only explanation I could think is that perhaps it's alien. There's no way this technology's been around for that long, so that could be another clue to what the train really is. The changes in Simon and Grace are becoming more apparent, leading to them getting in an argument and Simon blowing up on Grace, but luckily the 2 end up making up, and Grace reveals her number lowering problem. But once again, they make it out by playing by the train's rules and thinking outside of the box, which is how you usually get out of most Infinity Train cars. Having Randall himself stop the snowstorm, as it turns out he created it in the first place. They make it out and leave, but it's clear that Simon and the cat still have a lot of unresolved baggage, and it was weird seeing the cat look remorseful. Oh my god, and before I forget, the hipster pancake bear is the greatest thing in the show. I cannot stress this enough. Look at him. He's so handsome. He makes pancakes. He asked if they had any allergies. Protect him at all costs. And finally, we have episode 5. Are you sitting down? Look, if you've seen these episodes, you know what I'm about to talk about. If you haven't, really, spoiler alert. Come on. I don't even know where to start with this one, but it definitely broke the 8-episode rule of Infinity Train, where people claimed that by episode 8, that's where the scary dark moment happened. It opens up with them on a simple puzzle train. The twist being Tuba and Simon are forced to work together for once, much to their dismay. However, the 2 end up sharing a genuine moment, multiple actually, and their working together actually got them out of the car in the end. Seems like a hopeful turn for the series. Simon is softening up to Tuba, Tuba is softening up to Simon. Looks like Simon's about to learn a lesson about judging a book by its cover. Then Owen said, psych! Basically, 1-1 finds the car again and the train begins detaching. Everyone makes it across except for Tuba, who stays back to throw Hazel and make sure she gets across. But Simon goes back to save her, and you're like, oh yeah, they're friends now. This is awesome. This is what the episode's been building up to. Then the show goes somewhere I never thought it would. Simon stands over Tuba, who's hanging by her hand. And instead of reaching out to help in a twist that leaves you sick to your stomach, he literally stomps on her hand and kicks her to the wheels, killing Tuba in cold blood. I don't even think I've processed this yet. It's so dark, and honestly, that's exactly why Infinity Train is so elite, but damn, this was brutal. And it's only episode 5. And that's the thing with Infinity Train. You never think it's gonna go there, and then it does. Simon returns to the others in the next car, and in the most sadistic way ever, he's actually proud of what he's done. Like, this dude is legit scary. I thought he would lie for sure, but nah, he just straight up told Hazel, like, I killed your protector friend. You're better off now. Now Hazel runs out, understandably traumatized, and Grace actually scolds Simon for what he did, showing how far apart they've grown on this journey and how different their relationship is now. But dang, Grace, I mean, you did a lot of bad stuff. Don't act all high and mighty now. Regardless, she runs out to comfort Hazel, only for the final bombshell to drop. As we see Hazel gruesomely transform into a horrific turtle creature, and then it ends. That's all we get. It's a cliffhanger. All I can say about episode 5 is there's a lot to unpack here. So after watching these 5 episodes, the first thing I want to say is just how interesting the characters are this season. Before this, it was pretty clear that the focus of each season was going to be a good person caught up in the craziness of the train who learns a lesson. But Grace and Simon are not good people. Simon is a murderer, and I suspect also is Grace. She just gives me that vibe. They show no empathy, and they are rooted in self-centered chaos. Grace, the leader of the Apex, is leading tons of impressionable children down the wrong path. And she's clearly suppressing a sad past for the adventure of the train. She makes split-second decisions, sometimes often huge ones, on a whim, regardless of the consequences. It's clear she hates being bored or slowing down at all, no matter what danger that puts her or people around her in. After all, in the first episode, it wasn't enough to just loot one train, they had to loot another, and it was Grace's idea, which is what got them into the mess in the first place. But this is where it gets complicated. She clearly cares about protecting the young passengers of the train, and she's really great with kids, especially Hazel. And her intentions seem to be the best, but her methods are borderline sociopathic and incredibly manipulative. With Simon, it's clear he's home on the train, and this is where he flourishes. Also, side note, his train locator thingy is so cool, and it definitely looks like the same technology as the Cat's car. I hope they explain this somehow, or this type of technology, like who's making it, or how we got it in the first place, because this is really impressive tech. But again, it just shows that the Infinity Train is a machine. It's not magic, and it can be manipulated easily. But despite being her number 2, Simon is just as self-serving. And man, this guy likes to wheel people. Even in the last season, that was his solution for Lake and Alan Dracula. After watching him for 5 episodes, it's clear that he has evil in him. No matter how dark his past is, as it's revealed he actually arrived on the train at just 10 years old and then was abandoned, Simon is just not innocent. No matter how screwed up his past is, it's just not enough to justify how much bad he's done. Seriously, when he pushes Tuba to the wheels, his arm is going crazy. Those numbers don't even know where to go. They're like, oh my god, what? Oh, gee, okay, well, definitely going up, but I don't know, what did we even land on with this one? Also, Simon definitely was like an ROTC Boy Scout guy. Probably used Reddit before the train, I'm just saying. Then there's Hazel, an innocent girl. She's almost too perfect. It's only at the end we find out that she's not what she seems at all. But then that raises the question, what is she? Well, she's definitely not a regular passenger. We know that now. And I don't think her number's not glowing because 1-1 didn't let it, which was Grace's explanation. My original theory was that she was a denizen, designed to teach Grace her ultimate lesson. It seemed like I was on the right track in episode 4, but episode 5 changed everything. Now I'm not sure what to think. As her transformation into a turtle under emotional distress implies, Hazel is a failed experiment of some sort. The unfinished car was an attempt by Amelia to create her life with Ulrich, as Tulip realized in the final episode of book 1. The setting was meant to be her university campus, the jam and a turtle handkerchief being spotted through Amelia's tape. Amelia even remarked she was frustrated that despite her efforts, the train wouldn't cooperate with her. So it's very easy to piece together that Hazel is another byproduct of Amelia's desperate attempt to create a duplicate of her lost love. Actually, months ago in an AMA, Owen Dennis remarked that Amelia hates kids and would find the Apex lame. The first part of the statement making a lot more sense now. He was foreshadowing this very book. What could have happened was Amelia wanted to recreate Ulrich, made a child instead, was disgusted, and left Hazel to fend for herself on the train. Who knows? Despite Tulip's heart-to-heart, Hazel's birth could have actually been recentish. And finally, there's Tuba, though it almost feels wrong to talk about her after we watched her get literally killed in front of our eyes. She was unlike any other animal companion we've seen so far, as she was legitimately serious, tough, and quiet. Gone are the days of quirky Atticus. Tuba has been through some stuff, and it shows. She even alludes to having a daughter, though it's not clear what happened. It's definitely implied to be dark. But seriously, after all of that, how could Simon not think of her as a real person? Seeing her care for Hazel was so wholesome and pure, and Hazel stopped her from being violent and almost killing Simon at some points, but damn, that's ironic now. I would say she's definitely the most interesting companion so far, at least to me, in her own way. Rest in peace. Overall, I would say the biggest thing these episodes had going on was their dynamic as a group. They all forced each other to change their preconceptions and do things they normally wouldn't do in different ways. It almost looked like an incredibly hopeful story, but as Simon showed us, we cannot have anything nice on this train. So some final thoughts or things I noticed before wrapping up this video. Amelia is written all over this book. Granted, it is titled Cult of the Conductor, and it would be criminal if she didn't make some sort of appearance this time around. I mean, we're following an organization founded in her image. The second, or technically third car we entered this season was the return of the unfinished one she made. An appearance by the cat, who's well aware of her origin story, and now Hazel's extremely telling turtle transformation. If they don't run into her somehow, we are being robbed. As of now, I do have some predictions for the season. Hopefully I'm right. I predict the season will end with Simon and Grace being separated. I truly think that Grace is actually starting her path to leave the train, but at this point, I have no idea what's going to happen with Simon. He might be too far gone. That being said, after the events of this season unfold, I can see there being a situation where maybe he transforms the Apex into a group that helps kids leave the train. Either way, they'll all grow as characters, although I'm not entirely sure a Simon redemption arc is possible at this point. Especially with everything that's foreshadowed by the lone mask imagery, I think it's fair to say that Grace is going to get off this train. Hell, her number is already way down from where it was at the start of the book, and I think we're going to see Simon left alone. But that being said, we're just going to have to wait and see. His first 5 dropped, there's going to be more episodes dropping next week, and finally finishing off the season the week after that. So all we can do is speculate and wait, and I want to turn the question to you guys. What did you think of these episodes? Did you see them? Did you not? Let us know in those comments down below. Tweet to us Roundtable vids or me at @RetroNemo. If you want to consider helping out the Roundtable, you can support us on Patreon or become a member of the channel and get exclusive access to scripts and avatars. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give a like, share it, and subscribe to the Roundtable for more incredible cartoon content. Guys, I'm Nemo. This is an Infinity Train breakdown, and I will see you next time. Peace.